don't know whether it's my internet or Nitin's internet. Is okay now. My internet.
Okay. Over to you, Sujatha.
Thank you. Should we start with the check-in?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, as I am very curious right now because this very topic is quite new to me. It has been used as just a word, vulnerability all through. But then when Nitin last time you just asked me, immediately I felt by accepting, I will dedicate some time to know more about. And thank you for that. So I'm very eager and curious about the next 1 hour.
Great, Sujatha. Look forward
I
to.
I think I will tag Pawan.
Uh, Check-in feeling is great. Doing my assignments and so yeah, I did have a coaching session with Urvashi, and then I did meet an offline session with Mona today. So great day in terms of ICF, credentialing. Yeah, I tag Mona.
Maybe we can skip Mona. Mona, can you talk? I don't want you
Yeah,
to
yeah,
fight.
I can easily talk easily. Thank you very much. And it was an awesome day. We had a great session, Pawan and I, and thanks to our institute for connecting us. Thank you. It's a great feeling. I would tag Dia.
Hi everybody. I'm really looking forward to this session. I'm happy that we are expanding the overall ecosystem that we can operate in. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Thanks, there. You're tagging Sanjeev or Minu?
I am sorry. I'll tag Minu.
Hi. So my check-in feeling is I'm actually excited to be back and back into the coaching because last almost 3 weeks, I think, was not able to do. So happy about that and happy for a conversation that I had even with Sujatha. So excited and looking forward to hearing from her on vulnerability, which is, I think, the crux in coaching. That is, so something that she and I spoke of was that how vulnerability, um, uh, each session that we feel has gone off well, whether as a coach or as a client, when we have been vulnerable and we have let ourselves be vulnerable, and and I think those sessions have always been more useful and more beneficial both sides. So I think it's a very big one. So really looking forward to what Sujatha has to share with us. I tag Sanjeev. What you said, I can't see the names here.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Minu.
Yeah, sorry, I
Recovering.
couldn't see. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm sort of recovering from a throat infection. So I was down for 2 days. Today, feeling a bit better. So feeling quite vulnerable about my throat and my health. So that's what my opening feeling is, and I hope I take something from this session. Thank you.
So I'll quickly share. I'm extremely excited and really looking forward to Sujata's session. And Nitin, all yours.
Equally excited for many aspects. There are a lot of things which are happening and things which are open, which are closing. So I'm very excited. Looking forward to hear from you, Sujatha.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for the good words shared by Saras. Having said all this, I'm just a reason to probably start or initiate the conversation, and I'm sure With SCI, it's always sharing. Each one of us will have our own piece of contribution, and with all together, it's like as how Covey says, 1 + 1 greater than 11. Uh, it's going that kind of synergy, which eventually makes us as a team way better than just a simple linear summation. With this, I think I will share the screen. Um, is this visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So here we are. Just now, as Sanjeev rightly used the word vulnerability with respect to his throat condition. I know this is how we always been using this situation of vulnerability, where it it indicates that we are open for risks. So there is no sheath or a layer above, which typically we assume that protects us. So when the protection layer, seemingly the protection layer is taken off, what is exposed is open to risk. And that is how we take this word vulnerability. As I come from Karnataka, first thing I did was I checked dictionary meaning of vulnerability in Kannada, and it just used one word. In Kannada, if I say it's durbalate, and if I translate durbalate back to English, it is weakness. So this is our usage. I am sure you all agree with me. And so far, we've been using this in such connotation where vulnerability is I am open to risk. And how good is it to open to risk? Uh, how correct is that? Because the default mode of every one of us is to protect from the risk. And we all have been um, conditioned to be always protecting ourselves, either physically or psychologically, physiologically, and so on. So, with this background, and now we enter into a new paradigm of vulnerability. And this is exciting because this is entirely a new way of looking at things. Uh, well, I thought we will try to address these simple definition and understanding of vulnerability in the normal context. Weakness or courage? Let's have a small share of our thoughts in it. Then we will have a very short 3 minutes video about what it is not. And then vulnerability, especially in the context of leadership and coaching. Then I got my own doubts. We often talk about emotional quotient, where we say that, our emotions are to be very well contained and we cannot be emotional and things like that. We also talk about persona. So it's very important, having the persona in every context of our life. For example, in workplace, I have to wear the persona of professional, and in a friendship, I have a different persona. In relationships, we maintain persona. And is vulnerability contradicts this? Is a question mark that I got. So I thought we will just derive something over here. And then the last thing that we would like to conclude with is what is the power of vulnerability? Here, I would like to give all my credit to Minu, because yesterday I had a very short chat with her, and she is the one who brought about this power of vulnerability, which I think very magnificent, at least for we having the journey of coaching, and therefore it's highly relatable when it comes to power of vulnerability. This is what I thought we will try to quickly cover. So without much delay, we will get into uh, what is the simple meaning of 1 second. I think the screen disappeared.
No, it's there.
Is there,
You
is
can
it?
see. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. For me, it disappeared. 1 second. Oh, I think I'll just stop share and then share again, because for me it is something happened. Just a minute.
In the olden times, we would have given the laptop to, just to make it work.
Is it fine now for you all?
Yes.
Yeah. So, in its very core, it is emotional exposure. It involves allowing oneself to be emotionally open and authentic, even when it feels risky or uncomfortable. In fact, it demonstrates courage because we know it is risky, we know it is not very comfortable, but still, if we are able to be vulnerable in terms of emotionally being open, then it must be a courageous act than weakness through admitting mistakes and uncertainty. This, in its core, I think we all agree with this point. Would you like to add something? Any of you, please? You can add uh, what you would like to have your words on it.
Actually, I didn't want to add, but I just, in fact, it's there in chat. I've not just sent it. It's very interesting use of words. So risky, exposure, risky, yet courage.
Yep,
That's all that I noticed.
correct. So true. Yeah. Why? Because I think when we feel it, if it is not risky, and then we are open, then it doesn't require any courage. But despite there is an awareness that it could be risky, because we are not sure how our openness is perceived by the other person there. Not sure. Uncertainty is there. And wherever there is uncertainty, there is a factor of risk. But despite, if one is deciding to be open about the emotional status of oneself and being very authentic about it, then it needs to be a courageous act. So let us see what is this further. How is it generally demonstrated? There are three dimensions to it. One is admitting fault. Second one is acknowledging weaknesses of somebody who is vulnerable with us, and then celebrating others' strengths. The first one is, suppose I want to be vulnerable. If I'm vulnerable, then what I do is I admit my fault. Something like, I don't know the answer. When I don't know the answer, I made a mistake or I need help, being very open about what is my present status. That is admitting fault. If somebody is able to admit their fault, then the person is vulnerable, because don't know if it is perceived as something. When I say I don't know, I may be perceived as an ignorant person or less knowledgeable or whatever. But still, if fact is I don't know, then being open about I don't know, and so on. That is the first way that vulnerability is demonstrated. And the second one is, when somebody is vulnerable, how do we acknowledge it? For example, thank you for sharing that with me. I can see that it wasn't easy to talk about. So when somebody admits their mistakes, then how do I acknowledge? Being with them empathetically is also something that demonstrating vulnerability. Sometimes I can bring my limitation parallel to the other person's limitation and be there in that layer is demonstrating vulnerability. And it's not just about limitations and weaknesses, it is also about celebrating others' strengths. It takes courage to really appreciate someone's ability, capability, capacity, because that fosters a sense of psychological safety for the other person. So typically, this is how, in a context, vulnerabilities demonstrated. It's very courageous act to do all the three of the dimensions mentioned over here. Going forward,
May I add something, Sujatha?
yeah,
Uh, Just in
yeah,
the previous slide, one of
right,
the ICF coaching competencies which talks about trust and safety,
right,
the big part of it is about technology. When
correct,
client is sharing with you, are you able to recognize what client is sharing with you, and are you able to acknowledge that, I understand, and I understand it wasn't easy to share, right? Just like you said. So it's one of the competencies which helps you build trust and safety with the client. I just wanted
correct.
to bring that out.
So very true. Maybe at this point in time, even I was thinking, like in our regular conversations, typically we are in judgment mode most of the time. And when I am judging somebody, I am also having fear of getting judged. So this is the superficial layer in which most of our regular day-to-day conversations happen. Therefore, we will always be in a mode to protect ourselves. So that is where we are all most of the time in. But then not only in coaching conversations, but then even in our regular conversations, if we are able to get into this layer is some layer at a deeper level where I am genuine, is a real feelings or a real situation that we are able to open in communication. And this requires courage because the fear of being judged has to be overcome to be here. So it's kind of an overcoming of fear to be here, basically.
Yeah. Well, I
And
just want to add one more thing here.
yeah,
So our body physiologically is designed to protect ourselves.
correct.
Our reflexes, if somebody is coming to us, we will raise hand, we'll shy away our head if something is coming to us. If somebody is emotionally hurting, our limbic system will suddenly get active, right? And amygdala becomes higher. Our ability to think becomes deeper. So being vulnerable is a learned behavior. It is not biologically built in. It's a learned behavior which needs to be practiced. Just wanted to share that with you. It's not default which is available.
So true. In fact, I've heard that it's a reptile mind, basically. Reptiles are very reactive in nature. They don't come hunt you for anything, but then the moment they sense that there is some threat, immediately they in the way to protect themselves, they hit you in whatever capacity they have. It's a reptile mind in the evolution. And when it comes to human, even in the immunity change, which we discussed some time ago, immunity again is to protect us. But to evolve, we need to overcome that. Evolution asks for coming out of our, current situation and current mode. Only then we can get into evolution journey. So this is also a kind of evolving ourselves. Basically, we have to evolve. Otherwise, but default mode, we are in the same situation of protecting ourselves all the time. Yeah. Um, uh, can we proceed? Anybody else have anything to add to?
I think we are good to proceed.
Okay. So we are here, and then uh, now going to the next part. Is there any benefits of being vulnerable? Basically, we would, I think each one of us can bring some examples of having, at least we are all vulnerable as of today, if not everywhere, but then in certain relationships where I have come across a common conversation that I can be myself. So this is the most comfortable relationship we all of us would have experienced, where I can be myself. where it happens is where is increased trust. So, if I am vulnerable, for example, in a relationship, I am encouraging the other person also to be so, and therefore the relationship, there is a trust increasing. So, once the trust is more and more, you don't have to worry about being judged or judging someone and etc. Unnecessary dimensions of thinking, and therefore our focus will increase and leading to, even at workplace, high performances. The second one is communication. We can be as open, we can be as possible. Nothing to, search for words. What if I use this word? What if I use the other word, etc. We can be very honest, very transparent, and therefore our communication will be very, very clear without any fear. And because of this, collaboration is increasing and team strength is more and more. And of course, leaders who are vulnerable are very trustworthy, and therefore, such team would appreciate the leadership. These are a couple of benefits of being vulnerable, either in a relationship or at work or in a team, either as a leader of a team, and so on. Um, Now, let us get into the small clip.
Can I just share something?
Yes, please, Saras.
And I will keep it very short. So I recall when I first started my career and I joined an organization, the senior most person came and spoke about a client situation where he and some other other senior person, obviously junior to him, were there in that situation. And the senior most person who was the MD CEO, he basically turned around and said, you know what, I had no idea how to respond to this client. And this person here with me actually handled that situation. So I still recall that because this was a public thing that the person admitted that they did not have an answer and they were rescued in a way by the person with them who's at a junior level. And I think that kind of set the tone for the culture of our organization itself. Right. So it was okay to say, I'm not okay. So I just wanted to share that example.
I think yes, it indeed is a cultural aspect, especially at workplace, and it is like top down. It is demonstrated by at the top level, and then I've seen in our organization, because we are a subsidiary of a French company, when these Europeans come down, they are very open. And if they don't understand, they make it very clear that they don't understand. But we, a couple of times, are having this fear of being judged, and therefore we try to do some circus and to prove something, and therefore get into problem and unnecessary. But now, culturally, we all have understood you can be as simple as you can be. You can be as open and honest and transparent as you can be, because end of the day, when very big boss says he doesn't understand certain things, it's not a big deal. Okay, if I don't understand, I don't understand. It can be as simple as that. Now we understand simplicity is beautiful. So nothing to complicate things unnecessarily. Is the culture that being driven even in our organization. Once this um, French, acquired us, and then we started interacting with these people often. Otherwise, our own company, as a small company, we had complicated things a lot unnecessarily. Now we understand. All our energy used to unnecessarily go defocus and in defending yourself and justifying and so on. And now nothing is required. You can be very simple. I understand. I don't understand. I made a mistake. Yes, I made a mistake. I forgot. Yes, I forgot. That's it. It's as simple as that. Yes, Saras, I think it's very important to bring our experiences over here to probably understand this knowledge. Uh, Anyone else would like to add?
I've just posted one question.
Yeah.
Does the trust increases the chance to be vulnerable, or being vulnerable increases the trust? What's the equation between the two?
Mm. It's very nice. Sometimes there are variables which mutually influence each other. Uh, One starts the other. It could be whichever way. But typically, I feel leader should be courage, because why we use the word courage is, despite whether you are aware there is trust or no trust, you take one step. I feel that requires that courage. And then in the next couple of slides, I think one other important person in the study of vulnerability has coined a word called vulnerability loop.
Mm.
Then it loops. One feeds the other. So
Somewhere I feel it
We'll
also
wait for that.
starts.
yeah.
Somewhere I feel it also starts with personal values.
Huh.
Uh, Personal values could also be about, am I willing to take that risk?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because a very interesting exposure and yeah, Mona, go ahead.
So just from the organization point of view, Nitin, to answer that, I feel that we are in a startup, and we feel that once you accept, like for some situations where we have a product crisis, money crisis, instead of hiding it, when as a leadership, when we are open, transparent, vulnerable in that way, then the trust factor and the team bonding is very, very strong. That we accept we are going through a crisis and a chaos, but we'll come out of it. So that way, I feel the vulnerability adds to the trust.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Mona.
Sure. Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah. I think what Mona you mentioned is very correct. Actually, especially when it is a startup or when we are small, we have so much of room for innovativeness and then creativity. So when we are vulnerable, and in that space, a lot of creativity can happen because it calls for tolerance for failure. When we are ready for failure, when we are ready for risks as a startup, as a small company, then there can be disruptive innovations and there could be a non-linear growth of the company. And I think it's very, very crucial, especially in innovative culture of the organization. This vulnerability plays a significant role, actually. So, yeah, thank you, Mona. I think I'll share again.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess you're able to see the screen, right?
Yes.
Here is a video clip that I'm going to play. Let me know if sound is uh, there for you.
In order for transformation to happen, in order for there to be success by any metric, money, stock price, market share, whatever your metric is, you can't get there without brave leaders and courageous cultures.
You can teach courage.
Oh, you can absolutely teach courage. 4 skill sets. Number 1 being vulnerability.
I bet you that not too many years ago, if you had corporate leaders talking about their vulnerability and discussing shame in the office place, they'd have been laughed out of the office.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's still the case in some places. It's just, if you're at the top of a Fortune 500 company and your success metric depends on creativity and innovation, and you've set up a culture where vulnerability is seen as weakness, don't expect great results.
Don't expect the creativity.
No, because, I mean, innovation by definition is idea, iteration, failure, iteration, failure, iteration. Places where they're doing the most remarkable kind of high risk, high reward innovating, huge tolerances for vulnerability. And so if you have leaders who are either preaching a gospel of vulnerability as weakness or modeling that, just don't expect great things.
You have said that vulnerability without boundaries is not vulnerability. What do you mean by that? I'm not sure I understand.
When I go work with organizations, sometimes I'll hear someone say something like, how often should I cry in front of my team? And I'm like, oh my God, like that's not what I'm saying. Vulnerability is not about, self-disclosure. Like I know leaders who never cry, who are very vulnerable and transparent. And I know leaders who cry all the time who are just BSers. And if there's, vulnerability is great. Faux vulnerability or like fake vulnerability, because vulnerability seems to be a thing right now. That pisses people off.
So you're not advocating for people to just put it all out there.
No, all I'm saying about vulnerability is that when you are in uncertainty, when you feel at risk, when you feel exposed, don't tap out. Stay brave, stay uncomfortable, stay in the cringy moment, lean into the hard conversation, and keep leading. Stay brave. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you need to overshare. I'm not saying you need to disclose. I'm not saying you need to weep uncontrollably to show how human you are. I'm saying try to be aware of your armor. And when you feel vulnerable, try not to transform up. Try to stay human, keep leaning. Very different things.
Yeah.
I love this piece. And the reason why I love this piece is there's something which became very clear. Vulnerability does not mean overshare. And the reason I'm bringing it in is maybe from a coaching perspective, and I've done that as well. When we are learning coaching, we also learn we can use vulnerability as a way to create trust and safety with your client. One of those things I've noticed myself do, and hopefully by now I'm away from that. But I've actually, spoken about my situation. So self-disclosure in the same context as what the client is also saying. But now when I reflect back at it, my intention was not to be vulnerable. My intention was to build trust and safety. So it basically meant my story was not important. I have been in your situation and I feel what you feel is more important. So that's the thing that has struck me today. So thanks, Sujatha.
Thank you. Yeah, generally I have observed, not in coaching per se, but then in our regular conversation, when I bring my story, without hesitation, the other person will bring their story. In general, it's a general phenomena. When even people are a bit hesitant, when I first take that initiation of whatever little awkward to me of my limitation, or I did a mistake, I was a fool, I did not realize certain things, I got myself fooled, a kind of an example when I bring about, it gives a courage to the other person, thinking that this person will not misuse what I say because she already has herself gone through this, and therefore she's not in that space where she will judge me. So this is the message it goes, and then I have seen people using this as well for if they want you to tell something, they will not ask directly. Instead, they will bring their story. That's enough. That's how many a times it's behaviorally it works. But yes, as you mentioned, in the coaching conversation, there is no curiosity as in to know about others' story for ourselves. The curiosity is to make the other person to know their story. And the story is not for me. And therefore, maybe vulnerability of the client has to be encouraged. By getting that thread of my experience is similar, or that should be enough, because we get into the details of the story, then there is a digression that it will get into the story narration and story discussion, than getting into the deeper level of making the other person get into the deeper level. And that's the core purpose of our coaching conversations, and making the environment safety, trust and safety. Yeah. And one other thing I liked in this video is it is not pretending. Uh, it is not vulnerability for the sake of it. Uh, and it is authentic. It is genuine. It's a courageous act. And it is not oversharing. What is over is the question again. So uh, maybe we have to be very mindful to understand the line. It it differs in each situation. In fact, many a times my children tell, when I'm telling them the story of my experience of the day, first thing they will ask is, why are you telling this to us? So now I question myself, why am I telling this? Many a times I feel it is not necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe the courageous thing to say is, I want to share, and you are here, so I want to share. That's what it is.
Then this why will not stop there. Then why share? What makes you share?
I think what I liked about this video, and something that is coming to me, is that vulnerability is not about becoming victim. It comes from the place of strength and courage, and not from the space of helplessness. Right? I think that's and probably somewhere in between is the oversharing part that Brené Brown is talking about.
So true. So true.
So here, if I can just share just a thought, Sujatha, that when we get into a coaching conversation, um, if we don't let ourselves fully be there, uh, then will we gain enough? Or if we give ourselves fully into the game, and then I think we get a lot more, and it needs more courage to be vulnerable. It is easy not to talk about it, do it superficial, talk about things that, yeah, making it sound that, yeah, things are good. I mean, somewhere that's where I see this.
Yeah. In fact, initially you said something that whenever we have had experience of our conversation at the vulnerable levels,
Yeah.
some conversations have happened where we would have felt that I wouldn't have told this anyone else if not it as a coaching conversation. Or sometimes we feel, oh, what made me tell all this today,
Yeah.
which probably I never had opened up.
Mm,
Such conversations are etched in our experience. We feel very happy about. In
mm,
fact, as you mentioned, in my office, a very few coaching conversations I had. Then that's what they are telling, that uh, once we created that safe environment, uh, a couple of them said that I went to a different mode altogether. Uh, it was like I never thought I will tell all this today. I never prepared for it.
mm.
It was never there on top of my mind. Generally, we speak what is there on top of our mind, generally. But then this particular time took me somewhere else. Something deeper in my mind, which I never had brought in to surface level, came out. So I was so open to my own inner self. Is something that they have shared. That is nothing but the vulnerable state. And those whoever have felt that going or traveling to that state have never regretted for it. They have felt light about it. They have felt very happy about it. That is the beauty of being vulnerable. The beauty is not to regret, but to feel light and happy about it. I think that is the magic.
That sounds like a measure of success on a lighter note.
So yeah, I think this particular video gives a thin line, as I think Nitin mentioned. There's a very thin line of being helpless and being aware of in a state where I don't know. It's a very slippery thing. I don't know, and then feeling helpless about it, and then expressing helplessness or expressing I don't know state. I think the very thin line.
Actually, if you look at it, where is it stemming from? I think
Hmm.
and I think Brené Brown talks about it very nicely when she talks about it stems from the point of courage
Hmm.
and not
Hmm.
helplessness. Right? These are
Exactly.
two very different states of
Yes.
being.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you're stemming from the point of courage and strength, then potentially it is vulnerability. If you are
Correct.
stemming from the point of weakness or helplessness,
Hmm.
then probably it's a space of victim or oversharing or crying or whatever you're doing at that point in time.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
so well put, Nitin.
Yes. Very well said. Very well said. Yeah. I can also relate to our the other day you mentioned about circle of influence and circle of control concern. So when we feel that I have no influence on it, there stems the helplessness and weakness or emotions and all that. So do we express that, or we question ourselves about what is my circle of influence and what's the way in which I can expand the circle of influence and I can be there. That gives the courageous state, and then I can be vulnerable at this point in time. Uh, so so very well said, actually. Thanks to Nitin.
Doesn't seem like my internet. Looks
No,
like
it's not
Sujatha.
your internet. I think Sujatha. So also there's another. I think Saras can validate who talked about it, but there's another concept of power of yet. Right. So when you say I don't know versus when you say I don't know yet, right? These are two very different statements. And I don't know, Saras, who was the person who coined this? You told me once, I forgot.
I don't remember now, but I think it was growth mindset. I think it was the lady who
Carol
wrote
Dweck.
about
Carol Dweck.
Carol Dweck. Correct.
Okay. 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 Zata, over to you.
So I think my internet is fine now.
Yes.
In between I lost actually. Yeah. So maybe quickly going forward, uh, this vulnerability loop is something that we will get into. How it feeds on its own is something very well said. Actually, I will come to that point now. So now that we know, one second, maybe I will. So this Daniel Coyle discusses in his book vulnerability loop. I think my screen is having stuck, so I'll just explain this. So basically, he explains that vulnerability is not about revealing deep insecurities. It is about sending and receiving signals of openness, admitting mistakes, and asking for help, kind of a thing. So it is not about revealing the deep insecurities. I think this is where when the signal is to be open up about the mistakes or asking for a help, this leads to increased trust and bond with other people around, and they in turn also would get the signal and they start in being that in that place, and one start feeding the other. So this is what the vulnerability loop, which is talked about here. I think now I'll just see if I can share my PowerPoint. Is behaving differently now. Okay. um, so I guess you're able to see the
Hmm.
screen.
Yes.
Yeah, this is about it. So this is what I was mentioning about. He explains, Daniel Coyle, he explains that vulnerability is not about revealing deep insecurities, but about sending and receiving signals of openness. And this creates a loop where individuals signal vulnerability and others respond in kind, leading to increased trust, stronger bond, and therefore increasing vulnerability or encouraging vulnerability, and it start feeding on its own. So this there will be a signal in the relationship how open I can be uh, without our probably explicit communication. We are very sensitive enough, because in some groups or teams we are more open. In some groups we are less open, so there is some signaling that would be happening. This is the loop that is very well talked about. um, if we are very conscious, we will experience it. As simple as our in SCI classes, in our mentorship program, or in our peer coaching program, we have experienced very unique vulnerability signals. Then many a times we would have spoken to each other that this is the only space we are more vulnerable. We are not this in other teams or in other conversations. So this is the best example I can bring about for about myself. I am sure, the others here in the team will vouch for it. In fact, because this is exactly what me and Vinu have spoken about many a times. Because especially the cohort, when we talk about, we are all new to each other. The beauty is we don't know each other. We hardly know in past few months, but the way we've connected and the way we are vulnerable, what is that? I think Nitin and Saras should tell us what is this magic.
So I'll say something and probably Saras can add. I don't think magic is created by SCI.
Okay.
I think the magic is created by the people who are there. SCI is probably setting some or helping you set some ground rules in the beginning. But those ground rules are, you are the ones who are actually living that. So that safety, that environment is actually created by the participants, not by SCI, is what I would say. Saras, you want to add?
I think you've covered it. It'll be more experience than I don't know what we created. Honestly speaking, I don't know the answer to that question. But I do know that the cohort does what they do, like Nitin said. So maybe a good question to actually ponder over to see that what creates that that ability to be vulnerable in the cohort. So if you were to reflect back in your cohort, what is it that's enabling you?
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, there is no one word answer across. It is something to give thought to, because it all started with first our interaction with Nitin, next our interaction with you, Saras, and then our mentor sessions, and then the peer coaching, be it Minu, be it Shiju, be it Jyoti or Shankar in our team. Each one talk about the same. After the end of the session, each one's feeling is, how are we so vulnerable here? We discuss something here which we never discuss anywhere else. We have close friends, school friends. I have friendship of 40 plus years old, still with, but then it's all superficial level. The conversations only were have. Is it the magic of very coaching as a process? Um,
So I think Daniel Coyle in his book now he talks about this loop that he's talking about, right? He's talking about in the context of the culture of the organization.
Okay.
And what he says is that when a somebody is sending the vulnerable signal, the receiver has to receive and reciprocate.
Correct.
In the cultures where the reciprocation is not happening,
Correct.
the safety
100%.
doesn't get built. So the
Correct.
safety doesn't build up.
Correct. Correct.
So when the reciprocation of vulnerability is happening and the loop is getting complete, that is when the environment of trust and safety is getting.
Yes.
And when he talks about building cultures in the organization, and there is a concept about belongingness, he talks a lot about repair bids, and it's a beautiful book to read. He talks about a lot about how do you create belongingness and what makes culture not get built the way organizations typically want it to happen. And he's not talking about doing big things in the organizations to build the culture. He's talking about look at those levers, small levers, which are daily happening in the organizations to see what to change there. It's not the big things which will make change culture, it's the small things which will make change culture.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's very, very true. We talk a lot about culture, but then we fail in understanding what to do with it. It's very tricky. It's very tricky. It's very slippery because culture is such an abstract thing. We experience it, but you don't know what to do for it. It's an experience. You just get into the reception of a organization, and we just see people, their behavior, the way they converse, the way they have dressed up, and the artifacts around, including the paint color, whatever. It all makes us feel the culture, but in one word, you can't say what it is. For example, when you go to a hospital, if in the reception people are giggling and they're making a lot of sound and then speaking loudly, when there is a very seriously ill person is being carried out on a stretcher, which I have experienced. So I took my father into a big hospital in Bangalore, and then he was in his pain, and then in the stretcher they were taking him along, and there were a couple of other patients in worse condition than him. Too much of pipes around, and everybody is in a very sad mood. Obviously, the family and but the people working there around the reception, they are in their own regular mode of in regular office how they are. Maybe it's correct, but they are used to it, and then they cannot each day cry for whatever. But still, I felt this is not connected to what's happening around, and I didn't like the culture. Uh, so, what do we expect to be a good culture is very tricky, and therefore you don't know what to do. But I think this book, what you mentioned, I'm eager to buy this and then read this book uh, to understand if the small livers, whatever you said, sounds like very interesting actually. Yeah. So I think we are close to the time, and I'm also almost at the end of it. So my last slide was about its vulnerabilities relationship with coaching as a process, which I think we connected throughout the discussion. Um, so in coaching, how it becomes so very important for us. And then finally, as I mentioned, whether it is EQ or persona or vulnerability, they all actually they complement each other. It's not any contradiction because as long as it's genuine, either EQ is genuine, persona is genuine, and therefore vulnerability also comes from the genuinity. It's not wearing just a mask, be that. Persona is, we think wearing a mask, no, be that. So when we are that, when we are genuine in whichever facets of life that we are dealing with, vulnerability is being genuine, being real. And therefore, there is no ambiguity between any of these terminologies, is what I wanted to end up with. And the final word, I think, is the power of vulnerability, where we can spend some 2 minutes. Maybe you can have your share to contribute to power of vulnerability.
So would the question be, what is your experience of the power of vulnerability?
Yes. And if I want to start, I just mentioned it is my experience with this very process of coaching, being part of SCI, being part of you all. This is power of vulnerability. We have so far spent these 24 sessions of our coaching, and every individual sessions where we have gone through, or the mentorship with you, Sarah, that we have gone through, it has led to a new myself, I can say, every time. And it is not that I am telling, then even in my workplace, people have really, really recognized it. It has given immense clarity. I have identified whatever the deeper commitments, hidden commitments that has come out, and then I'm able to reseed the new seed there, and the new behavior for better, and experiencing. That's the power. That's my experience to start with. Maybe if you could share for a minute or two, then I think we probably justify the time. Mm.
If
I
I can
think
take a moment, sorry.
you go ahead, Meena.
Okay. When some things that Sujatha and I had also spoken, and we talked about a little bit, but somewhere, that safe space is something that from the beginning we felt. And somewhere, that real understanding and empathy was sort of always there, when we were having these conversations. And the power is also that somewhere this has built a deep trust and authentic connection in some ways between being like this, between even as whether we are coaches or we are clients, but somewhere that's sort of been happening. And the beauty is that with a few, even outside this cohort, I felt. Not too many because we've not done too much. But I think it's somewhere overall, because we are, after all, part of that extended cohort. So somewhere we are going in that fully. We are not holding ourselves back when we are in this conversation. And even, sorry, the experience with outside clients, I think it's been, although it's still very raw, very less, but it has been positive. And somewhere, it's encouraged us to have an honest expression, be it of our fears, be it of our doubts, and our true feelings. Somewhere we are not, like, Sujatha, you mentioned that it's not superficial. Somewhere we are, for a change, we are actually thinking one question, which is making us go deep down and be honest to ourselves and think through and be honest and talk about it. So I think it's a great journey. So I'm loving it. Thank you so much to both of you, and of course everybody in the cohort.
Thank you, Minu. Anybody else wants to share? What has been your experience of power of vulnerability?
So I've seen. So I'm working with this organization as the CEO of the organization, and the gem of a leader. I have to say that, and he is he's very open and vulnerable to his team, and I see the amount of loyalty this team shows in him. No matter I've been working with him for past 5, 6 years now, and no matter what has happened, and I'm sure they must have got many offers from different organizations and so on and so forth, but the loyalty towards him is extremely, extremely high. And I believe that one of the things that has led to that kind of a loyalty is because that leader is so vulnerable and open to the people that he's ready to share and accept mistakes and allow them to come together and do it together instead of saying this is what you need to do. I think that's what I've seen.
I want to share one. I know, Pawan, you wanted to come in. It was on the same thread, again, early on in my career. We had messed up with a client, and the CEO, MD, along with myself, we went to the client. And I thought, okay, so we padne wali hai, so let's be prepared. We'll hold it as best as we can. And suddenly, what I did realize is, conversation was all about the CEO and MD saying that, I understand, and I think it's a mistake on our part, on my part, and all of that. And I said, and then turned around and said, and I was a flunk, just started work in that organization. I said, Saras here is going to be making sure that this thing is set right for you. So he acknowledged as well as put a big responsibility on my head. Now I will definitely not the same. But the fact that he had faith in me is what happened. And he was vulnerable enough to admit the fact that it was a mistake we as an organization made, and I am responsible for that. I think that kind of changed it for me. So I just thought I'd share that. Yeah.
So again, here, Saras, it takes courage to be vulnerable. And that, I think, is the power of vulnerability.
So agree. So thanks. Thanks, Vinu. Pawan, all yours.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think Nitin and you have already covered. I just wanted to add the power of vulnerability comes from open-mindedness, I feel. Like when you are open as a leader or as a cohort, then the openness is there. As Nitin was mentioning, that the loop has to complete. Then there is a power of vulnerability, or else it is just sharing and then dropping it off. That's I wanted to add. And to add to Sujatha, like I also come from Karnataka, and vulnerability does not have an exact synonym in Kannada. It always says a negative thing, but vulnerability can be positive also and negative also. Yes.
Me and Saras, we were talking today that everything is together, right, wrong, give, take, inhale, exhale. Um, and that's where the vulnerability loop comes in, right? So it cannot be only given. If it is only given, then it doesn't work all the time. In the culture, it has to be reciprocated and the loop has to come.
Yeah. Right. I don't know if Sanjeev and Mona are able to share. Sanjeev anyway has a bad throat.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm here. I've been here. So I feel it is like Sujata mentioned. It is more about about the being, just being what you are. And and also another thing that comes to my mind is how can we invite vulnerability, especially into our lives, especially I see a lot of young people, they start working, and they are very harsh on themselves, especially in fields like sales, where the failure rate is so high. You know, you meet 100 clients, you will close 20. And by the way, people who close 20 clients are superstars. They make so much money. So, however, everybody has to go through those numbers, right? Of listening to 80 no's. And a lot of people drop out. And a lot of people develop this fear of conversations with people about their products and stuff like that, because somewhere and at so many levels I've gone through it myself, doubting myself. So how does one invite vulnerability into our lives in the context of this presentation is remains a challenge. And I think this, maybe if, through coaching we can do something about it, then that would be a tall order. That's what I would think about it. I'm going away with these thoughts. Made me really think. Just a word before I entered, but yes.
Mona, any chance we can hear you? If not, it's fine. Yeah.
No, that's fine. I think everyone said everything. There is nothing much that I have to say. I have already contributed on the culture part, like how in the startups we have this, and with as a HR, we have to be most of the time we try to be very transparent, very honest. That way we build a team, especially in the startups. That attrition, what Nitin said, that once you have the faith on the leadership, then the attrition is less. You build that trust in the team, the bonding goes on, and that's how the strategic business growth is planned. So I think it's a great topic, and thanks to everyone, Sujatha, also, that this has been now, I think more has been stemmed in that. This has to be, I think, one of the thought process in our coaching, in our work. Thank you everyone.
So good place for us to close our session today. We are about 11 minutes over. Yeah.